Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining and welcome to No Cap Radio. If you love to be educated and inspired, this is the place to be. So we encourage you to please subscribe, comment, and share our content. And speaking of the community, we have one of the most prominent members of the Fredericksburg community with us today. Reese, who we got with us today?
We have a phenomenal guest today. Her previous titles include admin assistant and teacher at Homegrown Middle School from 1981 to 1997, an admin assistant at Hugh Mercer Elementary School from 94 to 97, director of instruction and division director of testing from 97 to 2004, assistant superintendent from 2004 to 2012, deputy superintendent from 2012 to 2019, and the current superintendent. And these titles are all through Fredericksburg City Public Schools. Her education finished off with a Doctorate of Education for Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University in 2017. She's a part of honorary societies including, and I'm going to try to say these correctly, Kappa Omicron Nu, Alpha Kappa Mu, and Kappa Delta Phi. Just some honors, guys. In 2003, she got the Heart of Gold Award from the American Heart Association, Black History Month recognition from Kingdom Family Worship Center, and was a Woman Empowering Women honoree. In 2021, Women Educator Leadership in Virginia awarded her with the Regional Leader of the Year. In 2018, she got the African American Community Award from Hugh Mercer Elementary School. She's involved with Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce, Virginia Association of School Personnel Association, and the Citizen Advisory Board of Fredericksburg Police Department, just to name a few. And then some professional personal achievements and activities include Fredericksburg Rotary Club speaker, Chamber of Commerce presenter, University of Mary Washington Black History Program speaker. So,
Quick
No Cap family, please.
For that, y'all.
And No Cap family, we introduced you Dr. Marceline Rollins Catlett.
Well, and thank you for the opportunity to join you all this afternoon.
Yeah.
I give God the glory in all of that. I'm just a vehicle in terms of being able to lead and serve in my community, and I feel blessed to be able to do it.
Yes, well, before we get started, like I told you, we want you to brag on yourself today because this is about giving you your flowers. And we know, obviously, you are the current superintendent, right? But it's funny because since I've been knowing you, I've always wondered what life was like for young Marcy Catlett, right? Like, goody two-shoes, maybe a troublemaker a little bit. So tell us a little bit about young Marcy.
Okay, well, I grew up on Wolf Street, faith-based family, extension, New Site Baptist Church was my home away from home. Educated as a preschooler right on Wolf Street, Miss Carrie Golden's kindergarten. My mom either had an insight that we needed to start elementary school early, so she sent my sister and I both at 3 years old over to Miss Carrie's, and she was a strict, strong African-American female educator, my first mentor actually. And if you could survive Miss Carrie's kindergarten, you were ready for first grade. And so because my mom and dad both were active in the civil rights movement, they felt that it was important that they help integrate the schools in the city. So when we had a choice to either go to Walker Grant, this site, as the segregated elementary school, or Lafayette Elementary, where's the new library, or to Maury, she sent us to Maury early. So to help with integration, it wasn't until I was in about 4th grade that it was federally mandated that all the schools become integrated. So I had, I'd say, 2 worlds that I navigated in. I had my white friends at Maury, developed friendships there, endured whatever was going on in terms of setting the stage for integration, and would come home to all black neighborhood, to church, come down to Walker Grant and participate in the activities here. And so I became a bridge in terms of when integration took place between my both set of friends. So by 6th grade, they elected me SCA president, and I said, I won't make promises I can't keep, but I will try to get chocolate milk. And was able to get chocolate milk for the school. So ever since then, my classmates trusted me and, let me have leadership positions because they could see that I'd follow through on my word and get the job done. Lover of books, natural born teacher. My mom wanted to be a teacher but couldn't go off to college due to, the circumstances back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. So she said, Marcy, if you become a teacher, you'll always have a job. And I just naturally gravitated toward children, and I love people, and I'm a lifelong learner. I just love education, and I've been given the calling, the gift to be able to educate others and to mentor and to teach others. So it's been a natural fit for me. But books have always been a love of mine, and newspapers and magazines, and reading and being a student. I'd go to summer school at JM because I didn't have to go. I'd go to get extra credits because I like being in school so much. So I've always been driven by helping people improve the quality of life for everyone around me, and bestow upon folks education. Yeah. So I've been a bookworm type all my life. But I played too. I had dolls, and I couldn't ride the bike well, but I tried, but never in the sports world. Or I was the last one picked for the team. When they say last one picked, protect your last, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I cheer folks on. So
that's awesome. So you did start as a teacher first, and
oh, definitely 6th grade, right across the street. Yeah, I started as a 6th grade teacher. What happened was I went from James Monroe to Virginia State and entered their education department, and did really well. I treated it like a job, not so much college. Would come home on the weekend because my mom and boyfriend were here. Wasn't until I pledged my sorority that I stayed the weekends in Petersburg, but I pledged Delta Sigma Theta, so loved being in the sorority. It's been one of the best things I've ever done in terms of my civic responsibility. And then came home, they hired me to teach 6th grade. I did that here, opened up the new middle school, was teaching 6th grade then. And then for 13 years, I taught 6th and 7th grade, mainly science. And during that time, my colleagues would say, Marcy, you'd make a really good administrator. You really should go into admin. And so throughout that time, I heard that most teachers were going to have master's degrees. So a postcard showed up in my mailbox, and it was from University of Virginia, UVA, to get a master's in curriculum and instruction. So I said, well, if I'm going to have to get a master's anyway, I'll go ahead and sign up in this program. So for 2 years, 2 summers, they traveled here. We didn't have to go to Charlottesville. And I got my master's in curriculum and instruction. And then they let me do administrative assistant work, which is you teach for like 3 periods, and then you're off a period doing admin work. And so at Walker Grant, I did that. I taught, and then I did a little bit of admin work.
I was wondering how that.
And then at Hugh Mercer, one summer, they had me come over and run the summer programs. And the 2 principals over there really liked me being there. It was Miss Sylvia Johnson and Miss Margie Tankersley. And so they advocated to have me stay and help them as like a second assistant principal at Hugh Mercer. So for 5 years, I did assistant principal work at Hugh Mercer. Then to be an administrator, you have to get a degree in administration supervision. So I signed up at VCU and did another degree in administration supervision, and then got my admin work. And then the position came up right at the beginning of SOLs. It was because I ran the whole program. Maurice knows because I used to have study sessions at the house all the time. And so I ran the whole program. I did really what 5 or 6 people do now. In that old office there, diagonal to Foodies, that was the school board office. So they hired me as director of instruction, and I was the director of testing, curriculum, professional development, K-12, the whole gamut in instruction. And did that work for a while, then moved up into the other positions. And I got the endorsement and administrative supervision. And then, of course, you know, when you're a lifelong learner, you want to get the terminal degree. So I went on and while Mario was in high school, middle school, high school, and worked at Virginia Tech to get my doctoral work done in educational leadership. And that enabled me to, you know, get these other jobs in central office. But then when the time came to apply to be superintendent, it's almost mandatory now that you have that doctoral work done. Yeah, so that's how it worked. My whole 43 years have been right here in the city. I came home.
Years. Wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
and right
amazing.
over room 7 in the 1935 building. So I've come full circle.
Yeah.
I was in school here. This was the home ec room when I was a 7th and 8th grader, right? These 3 rooms. My science class was across the hall. I loved Walker Grant as a middle schooler. We were 7th and 8th grade. And so it's great to be home.
Wow, that's incredible to be in this office now, and this is where you.
Had home ec.
Yeah. Obviously, your childhood and the people you were surrounded with
Oh,
brought
yeah.
you into being a teacher.
Yes, the village.
Mhm.
We all need a village.
For sure.
And we, during the time of the 60s and 70s, it was so important that we filter our energy into positivity because we witnessed Dr. King's death, lots of turmoil, and because of Harambe 360, our church choir and all, we published, we did a record. I have the record at home, New Sights Choir. I was on, we were on TV. All of those things kept you focused on positivity. And Harambe was an experimental theater group that taught us a lot about self-esteem and confidence and public speaking. And so that's, you know, Gail Dagbalola, Mr. Todd, you all have heard of Harambe 360. And they had a Miss Black Teenage pageant that I was a contestant in and won a couple of awards. So that was our village, you know, I was a Girl Scout, the church family, our neighbors, our teachers. It was, you know, that's what our children need. You know, it's just not what the family can do. We need to, I call it wraparound services. And if we had more of that, it would help our children feel better supported. But there's a bestseller out now called The Anxious Generation. And it talks about children that were born after 1995. And that what the author says is that we overprotected our children from the real world and underprotected our children from the virtual world. And that's why we've got this situation where our children are different because they're not as independent, you know, as we were. When I lived on Wolf Street, we'd roam the streets all day, go to the dentist alone. Mama would drop us off at the hairdresser and then pick us up 2 hours later. There were no cell phones. We gained a very keen sense of independence and knowing how to function on our own. And if we had a problem, we talked to a friend. We didn't talk to our parents because we figured out how to solve things as peers. But they were there for us. But it evolved, society changed, things became more visible and negative in terms of crime and all. So we started to get a bit more protective and it became, you know, the helicopter parents, And now our children are needing villages and wraparound services to help them.
And I keep hearing you speak on the children and their needs. And ever since, obviously, I've had the pleasure of knowing you, you've been hard working. I used to tell you, you might as well sleep at the office, right? Because you always just go, go, go. It's a big difference, obviously, from working in the classroom to doing admin.
Right.
You mentioned people telling you would be great at this, but did something happen? Did you experience something where you said, I want to go from the classroom to admin because?
Well, that's funny you asked that. My mom always put us out there to just go do, try, and was the wind beneath our wings and very supportive, but from afar. If you remember my mom, yeah, hard working, you know. And my dad, they divorced, but one time he visited me and surprised me over in my classroom. And so I was mentioning that one of my co-workers had been in the classroom education for 30 some years. And he dropped this nugget of, well, I'm sure you won't be in the classroom that long. So he planted the seed of, I'm sure you're going to try to advance to a different level, right? And a lot of times you need encouragement and people to see in you what you don't see in yourself. Your Uncle Herman and Virginia would stop me and say, Marcy, you need to be an administrator. You know, that's what Herman would say all the time. So other people would tell me that too. And then, you know, my husband was very supportive, go do, you know, to sacrifice in a household for your wife to go to 4 colleges throughout your marriage, the expense that takes, the time it takes from your family. You've got to have that kind of support because you all understand I'm going to improve the quality of life for all of us. Family first. But what I'm doing and what he did both poured into improving the quality of life for the whole family. So we valued each other's contributions. And you wouldn't say I denied Mario any time, would you, Maurice?
Not at all. He better not say it.
You're my one son that the world revolves around. Yeah, but I balanced. I did my best to, and they helped me because they saw the value in the vision. And so we just tag teamed it and kept it moving. Yeah.
For sure.
So my grandmother told me a lot how, you know, back when those schools were segregated, how you said there was a community, and she would tell me how the teachers would actually come to your house, sit, eat dinner with you and things like that. And she was really talking about my grandmother who went to school right there in Mayfield.
Right.
At that, which is now W.L. Harris Playground.
Right.
And, you know, I was just, I don't know exactly who, maybe my mother, but is there a connection? I know, you know, it's a historic playground. Is there a connection with you and Dr.?
Yes, for sure. My mom came from Tappahannock, Essex, Virginia, and she worked at the Hotel McGuire.
Okay.
Dr. Harris, who was my godfather, owned the Hotel McGuire. So she became his assistant, his secretary, his right hand. So Doc was a Renaissance man. And when you read the placard and all the history on him, he was a dentist. He built over 30 homes in the old section of Mayfield. He had dump trucks and all kinds of businesses. So we would play in the hotel, and my mom's job was to go into Mayfield and pick up rent from the families that rented homes from him. So we would riding the Mayfield, and Mama would send us up to and your Herman again says, "Here comes those two little girls for the rent money." And so we felt like Mayfield was a part of home too. Yeah, because we played when he built homes over there, and Doc went to Virginia State, and Howard, and would go to conventions, and so we were in a world of seeing African American business people and educated folks all around us. So we had those types of high expectations. And Doc was just a wonderful person that I loved. And for instance, years ago in magazines, and they still have them, but I would tear out the card, put my name on it, and go to the post office. I wouldn't tell Mama, and just mail the card, and books would show up at the house, right? And so Mama would say, "Who ordered these books? I didn't know." And so then I'd say, "Doc, do you mind? Would you pay Mom?" I was a little girl, but that's the kind of influence he had on us, and would take us on trips, and was just like a godfather. And he did so much for the community as well. He was civil rights leader, involved, if you follow his background, fought the courts for different reasons in terms of getting roadways through Mayfield. The coverage is there on him. And I'm so glad that we finally were able to honor him by naming the park, and the placard as well. So, love Doc. Yeah, great person.
Awesome. That's awesome. And do you remember like a great piece of advice that he ever gave you, being such an entrepreneurial, like? Well,
we were little, so, because he died when I was at JM maybe about 13 or 14. He just was always there for us. When he'd go on his trips, we'd help him pack. And back then, there were pickpocketers. So he would put, I can remember, in his back pocket, he'd put his money and then a safety pin over the money so that if anyone tried to get, so it was watching. You know how folks tell you it's not so much what you say, that children watch what you do.
Right.
So all of this greatness that he had in a very humble way, we watched and were impacted and influenced by it. And he was really good to my mom as well.
I think that's the definition of, for what you're telling me, how you grew up, you are who you hang around, right? Because you were surrounded by so many successful black, I don't know if just black, but just people. You know what I mean?
And
you were in those rooms,
and church.
So it really makes sense that you would be here to where you are now,
Grace of God.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
So Dr. Catlett, what can you tell us about your role in the advocacy with the James Farmer Scholars Program? Because I know you've done great work. I know you've done great work for that program, for sure.
Well, when I came home to teach, Jimmy Carter had lost the election, 81, and all the Pell Grants and all were going away. So the number of African American children going off to college in the mid-'80s was decreasing. So you think, what in the world? How can it start to decrease? So Dean Hall and Dr. Garnett, he was superintendent, and Dean Hall was at UMW, Mary Washington College then, came up with an idea because Dr. James Farmer was a professor at college, and they said, why don't we start the James Farmer Scholars Program with Dr. Danita McCall. She was working at the college and teaching there and running Upward Bound, called in honor of him, where we would identify 7th graders that had the potential of being college bound and support them throughout their 7th through 12th grade experience. So I was hired by Dr. McCall with Princess Moss, and Julie Scott, the three of us. And we literally built the program from scratch. Spreading of the wings, the theme, the handbook, the process of who should get selected, just the whole thing from scratch. And so in the schools, they asked, Spotsy agreed to do it, Caroline, and Westmoreland. It was the four in the city of Fredericksburg. And so we inaugurated our first group and just wrapped around services, educated them, took them on field trips. I was their sponsor, so I was like their mom on site, and would watch their grades and make them do their homework, and then they come to the college one Saturday a month, and then they spent a week on the campus.
Right.
So they were at UMW. They were in the environment. They were seeing what college life was like and getting that experience. And so of 12 students, the general process was to pick 4 that were maybe college bound anyway, 4 that with a little more help could just go on the college bound, and then 4 that would be miracles, that if we were able to really help them, they could achieve as well. And every year we picked up a new set of 12. So there are thousands of James Farmer scholars across the world that benefited from the program. So after Hurricane Katrina and admin, changed at the college, it started to lose its support. And most recently, the college said that they couldn't fund it anymore. They would be a resource for us, but not funded. So I approached our school board, and they agreed to maintain it. So, and we did a little bit of work with Caroline. Spotsy had theirs, but they didn't, right now, they don't have it. And Westmoreland did something different. So the city still has the James Farmer Scholars Program. Well, I've been bothered by the learning loss from COVID and just children's need to be scholarly. Okay, not so much college prep. So I prayed. I said, God, show me where I've seen a successful African-American program, student program work. And right under my nose, the James Farmer Scholars Program. So in the last 2 years, we've implemented the Scholars Program starting in grades 3 through 8. And we're identifying children that need more help with their reading and math to get them stronger, so they'll do better on their assessments, their tests and all. So we have James Farmer scholars now, 3rd grade through 12th grade.
That's so impressive.
We need to do something for all of our students, and wraparound services, I call them, and this village concept.
James Farmer Scholars definitely does that for sure.
Right, and here's the newsletter, I don't know, from last year, in terms of what we were able to do for this last school year.
And I remember it was a very big honor to be a part of this program in high school, so, and then to know that you worked hand in hand with them to develop it from scratch. That's huge.
I saw the picture of you actually with him.
Oh, right, yes, when he got the presidential award, we went down to Richmond and were there. And I, pick him up sometimes and spend time with him. And he'd come and talk to the students and he'd tell the stories about the civil rights movement and all. And he was a great man as well.
And the ties to it and how closely he worked with Dr. Martin Luther King.
The Big Four.
I remember being in school like, what's this James Farmer about? I wasn't much a scholar. I was just a student, so I wasn't. At that time, I wasn't.
Well, you were in the county and came to the city. They were identified in 7th grade.
Oh, you had to be.
That's where they were identified in middle school. And then we just stayed with them every year and just added at 7th grade.
Well, we definitely commend you on this.
For sure.
But one thing, what do you believe is one of the biggest challenges being superintendent?
And also, superintendent and a black leader in education.
Yes, yes.
The challenge for me is, at this present time, keeping the political distractors at bay. We're blessed in this community that our school board is supportive of everything that would advance the academic achievement and progress of all students. And they trust us. They appreciate our action-oriented processes. And we're progressive in terms of doing what's right by children and keeping that the main thing. And that can easily change with elections and policies that can be implemented that can distract you from those principles.
And that answer just brought me to the next question. What do you feel would be the biggest effects of the new incoming administration dismantling the Department of Education?
Well, I'm a true believer that all politics is local politics. And the only thing I have direct control over is what I do here in the city. And as long as the citizens of Fredericksburg support and maintain the vision, mission, goals, and processes that we have in place on how to best educate children, I don't worry about beyond that. Because I've got too much work to do here. So that I'm not bothered by that. I just try to get up every day and do the work I need to do every day.
And is that your mindset? Because then too, I was thinking, like you said, you have direct control over some things, but as people in the community and mothers and fathers of students, we look and we receive scrutiny on certain things,
Of course.
you know. And we kind of look at it as like a president. You know, you think a president can snap his finger and, you know, do exactly what he wants to do. I'm sure that's not how it works. Would you like to speak on that?
Well, I have a rule of thirds. Whether it's accurate or not, you'll have about a third of folks right behind you take a bullet for you, gun ho, yeah, and thank God for them. Then you have about a third that you wanna, you know, in that same camp. Yeah, you know that, you know, they middle of the road, but they lean more to having faith in you and trusting you. And then there's a third that folks just don't like you or don't want to see you do well. Whatever the reasons, they're not going to align with some of what you want to do. But you can move on the 2/3, and you have to. Yeah, because you're not going to please everyone. So, you know, I'd like that the other third might want to, but as long as what I'm doing is not damaging or is in the best interest of educating children, we got to move on and move forward. Yeah.
So,
Does that answer?
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what are you most proud of in your throughout your career that you've accomplished? Or
Well, what really made me happy the other day is I was at Lafayette and a little fella ran up to me. He said, "Llama, red pajamas." And then he took off. And I read that book to them.
Oh, okay.
They had a pajama night read at Lafayette, right? And so we were in the music room, and you know, I know the children. I don't really know. It's 3,600 children, right? And so I read Llama Llama, Rear Pajamas. And for him to remember that out of all those folks he saw that evening, that I was the one that he connected with reading that book to him. And he didn't say hello, he didn't say goodbye, he just went smack into me and then took off. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to educate children to the best of my ability by supporting everybody that works in this school division and doing their work to educate children. So whatever it takes, be it that we now are going to have a brand new middle school at Walker Grant that we needed. We can now have smaller elementary schools. Our elementary school, you see how they are at programs. You can hardly get in it's wall to wall. Parking's terrible. We're going to have a third elementary school, the Gladys West Elementary School, where we'll have no more than 600 children in the building. And we're making progress in terms of meeting the needs of the children in our community.
Understood.
Yes, and the teamwork, the board, the admin team, the teachers, all staff working together, our bus drivers, everybody, for the best interest of what we do here.
Understood. So with that said, is there anything that you would like to accomplish that you haven't already before you retire?
Career and technical education. We need to have more offerings for our students at James Monroe. Actually, we need pathways. The state has already said that they advocate for every child who leaves high school to have a licensed credential work skill. It's no longer you either do vocational or college. That's the old form. What we want now is that in this new middle school, the whole left-hand side, first floor, are career and tech courses that James Monroe will need to be able to pick up those pathways. We want every child into middle school and high school in a credential license program, getting a skill that can give them a career and go to college if they want to as well. So that's the push now.
That is so important.
Yes, and that's what we're missing in the city. You know, the counties have them. With the chamber, we went to Lexington, Kentucky, to see how their Chamber of Commerce work, and we visited the Frederick Douglass High School there, and that school was built like in 2018, and it has it's designed with pathways. They have a courtroom in the building. They have a bank in the building. So what I'd like is an extension on to James Monroe that would provide career and tech, culinary, child care, trades. We now have cosmetology. We have CNA nursing programs, but we need a whole lot more offerings at that high school to help our students.
That would be incredible.
So that's what we're working on now.
When people are reading about you in the history books in the future, what do you most want to be recognized for?
You know, that I did with the help of others, collaborative work, teamwork. We made a difference in the lives and the quality of life for our students, and that they will look back and have positive memories of their time spent in Fredericksburg City Public School.
Yeah, look at you, still being humble with it too. See?
And James Monroe High School.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
So would that be your biggest, if you had one wish, would it be for Fredericksburg City Public School? What would it be? Would it be the program for high school, or is there something?
Well, I want universal kindergarten. I want to be a preschool to bring in children that aren't in Head Start, but aren't in other preschool programs. We've got about 100 children that need preschool services. So that would be another area I'd like to work on. I just want to make us the best school division ever.
Right.
And I want all the children achieving at the level of their potential.
Right.
Yeah, and that means helping families know what it takes to do that. We're working in partnership with families and our community. And we've got great community partners, brochure of over 300 partners, and a generous community. So it's everybody working together for the greater cause, and that's educating children.
And that's what I wanted to ask, because there's so much focus on the children, which is how it should be. But what advice would you give to the parents and the families?
Yes, and let's not leave out educators, the teachers. Yeah, they're in the trenches. They're doing the hard work every single day. And I'm a teacher at heart, so I know. And they're underpaid, overworked. This society really needs to understand that we need to do right by educators and our staff. That's long overdue.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I'd advocate really highly for, and that's compensating teachers at the level they should be. And families need to understand the major responsibility that they have to educate children, and how important it is that they read to children and support the schools. That's the formula. The family, the teacher, and the student working together, and set high expectations for what your children do, and don't settle for just medium or lower level achievement to achieve for the highest standard that you can. But it takes work, and everything's a teachable moment. See, if families realize that, because you don't get the time back. So everything's a teachable moment.
It's funny you say that.
Almost
Sometimes,
extreme.
you're right, and I think with my kids, sometimes when I'm talking too much, I'm trying to make this, but at the same time, growing up, that's how it was with me, and it means a lot. And I think that's where you talked about kids being different these days, and that's where the disconnect is at home. Would you agree? It's you said it starts at home, and
yeah, because 0 to 5 sets the foundation, and that's where the reading has to happen. The love for being educated, it's being able to be taught. And see, COVID did a job on our children. They lost some of their socialization skills. We're seeing young children act like they're 2 and 3 year olds now, and that's at every level. So they've lost a year and a half, 2 years of developmentally what they should have had. So we're playing catch up. And but we can work on it. You just have to always remember, education is the key, and more important now than ever.
I think that's great advice, and I think a lot of parents can take heed to that advice, and take education as important as you can, and have some grace and mercy, like you said, for the children who did lose that 2 years during COVID.
Right, and depend on us. Partner with the teacher. Ask, what can I do? What should we do? Be responsive to parent nights, evening nights, cleaning out the book bag, setting time to read, and definitely minimizing the electronic devices, and overprotect that. We've seen much success with locking up the off yonder bag, an off process we've done at the hospital.
I'm so glad y'all did that. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. Yes.
So,
Dr. Catlett, is there any last closing remarks, something you would like to share, or?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity, and I commend you too for continuing the process of connecting with the community through these new ways, through podcasts and all of this type of networking. And love both of you all's families and appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all. And I just love my work and am blessed to be able to do it at the culminating time of my career.
And we see you all the time in the community and how you connect with others. And today's show is just your humbleness and your dedication, to this community. So we really appreciate it. To say that you're a special guest on this show, it doesn't do any justice. So I would say an icon, a legend, and a hero in the eyes and hearts of many. And not to mention a champion for your inspiring leadership. So we are most thankful to have you on this show. No Cap, we appreciate y'all tuning in. This has been special today. And No Cap, yo, we out.
We out.
We out.